I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for a Republican.
And that's fundamentally my problem, right? I think it is so hard as a black man, and I don't want to pull the race card. I think it is very hard as a black man when you become an independent thinker and when you no longer allow yourself to be pulled into the blue side, what they call you Uncle Tom, charlatan. You hate yourself, you hate your race, and all that nonsense. That's what she's trying to do. What is going on, guys? This is your boy Isaac back in here with another video. I know I've been out for a hot minute. Your boys got bills to pay, okay? I'm just a regular man, just like you, okay? I put my underwears one leg at a time. I kid. Okay, and today's topic, we're here to talk about some gentleman named Coleman Hughes. Apparently, he made a mistake to go on the View. I don't know what kind of affiliation he is, but I don't know what kind of point he's going to make. But I do think there is a greater conversation to have in terms of, do we have a problem with racism in America? To be more specific, do we have an epidemic of racism in America? So let's get started with the video.
That I should ask you to do is explain to folks what you mean by this. Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased, so we should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not...
Me particularly, I'm not a big fan of the whole I don't see race thing, because I think white liberal kind of like bamboozle regular whites into this corner, and then they have no choice to use that defense. I don't see race, I don't see race, I don't see race. I don't particularly like that term, because like you have to be able to see race to a certain extent, because in order for you to acknowledge me, you see me, I'm different from you. We have different culture, different skin tone, the dialect is different, my style is different, everything about me is different. So you saying not seeing race is almost like you're not acknowledging my existence.
My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy. Of course. And the reason I wrote this book, thank you. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything, right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time.
Okay, I understand that. I do think there is an overemphasis on race, right? Because, again, when it comes to the right liberal, I think that some white liberal have the right idea when it comes to, it sounds good on paper, but when you put it down into policies and everything, it become itself, the policy itself become racist, right? So when you say that, you know, you try DEI or affirmative action, or when you try to create like, you know, people of color places, you're essentially advocating for segregation. You know, so yeah.
I'm sorry, baby. Yeah. Can I just point out that there is a reason for that? You know, when I went to school, getting any information about anyone's race was not taught. No history, there was no black history, none of those things were taught. And here in America, 100 years ago when I was a young woman, that's how people saw you. That's how they judged you. So I think, I don't want to say it's your youth, but I think you have a point, but I think you have to also take into consideration what people have lived through in order to understand why there has been such a pointing of very specific racial things, like women couldn't get into colleges if you are.
But to go against that point, that I think that she's trying to make the point of, okay, you're young, I've been through this, I seen it, But however, if you go back and throughout like the civil rights movement, black people did far better on Jim Crow, right? Because why? We stick together and the family value was very tight. We needed each other to survive. So that's why we end up with the Black Wall Street and everything. Like compared to nowadays, right? We have more millionaire and billionaire than before. But for some reason, we're doing so much worse because we have a over 80% single mother rate. Most of our boys don't know how to be men. Men are not in the family anymore. We can have a whole nother conversation why that is. However, there is a level of accountability that we need to have. And with the word of Malcolm X, you have to be careful with the white liberal, because these are the type of people that actually keep us where we are and almost treat black people as children sometimes, like to the point that they are patronizing us. Like the same thing, same argument with the whole like black people don't know how to have ID when you need an ID to do everything in America, you know, to go.
Do you have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
In areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Black person, there are a lot of colleges wouldn't accept you. Trying to equal the playing field. I think that's what a lot of folks have been trying to do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think that's your experience, and that's valid. You know, as a counterpoint, when I was in 5th grade, we all watched Roots together.
Yeah.
In public school.
Yeah.
So these are different experiences.
Which I think that movie, a lot of people get the idea of slavery from that movie for some reason. It is burned into their brain, and they think slavery was like that.
Experiences, I think it's also different generations. It's different parts of the country, right? We have very different cultures all living together in one country, so I'm not going to deny that, but I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star, and the point is not that we're ever going to get there, we're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards, and we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco, you know, with you didn't hear about this story?
No, but
Wait, because I want to get to the part of the book.
Okay,
you believe that public policies that address socioeconomic differences would be better at benefiting disadvantaged groups, and that race-based policies often hurt the very people they're trying to help. What are some examples of policies that would be better at reducing racial disparities?
I'm gonna give you an example right now. For example, affirmative action, right? So company have a quota, right? And I think that at my job, I work in healthcare, and for some reason, whenever like black people are weird like that, I have to say black people in general because like they don't differentiate between all of us, African born, Caribbean born, and American born, right? So we are put like in the same basket. The problem we come to this, whenever we don't get a position, they always say, oh, because you this, right? And then, but whenever there's a position that's available that typically black people don't go there, they always associate that with racism. But I always say, okay, did you try to apply? No, they don't. And my problem when it comes to this type of stuff, when they do the diversity hire, that is my experience, right? And all the hospitals that I work at, when they use that metric to hire people of color, they don't do well. And most of the time they attribute that to racism, but it's not true because there are a bunch of people of color that end up making it. You putting people that are clearly not qualified for the position into those areas, and you're robbing the people that do have the quality to go into this position. So in the long run, what you end up doing, you create an environment of resentment because people that see you not doing the job properly think that the only reason you got the job is because of DEI, affirmative action. But you may have been a person that completely qualified for the job. But unfortunately, because of the culture, it's messing everybody up. And again, this is another thing that was created for, I don't want to be racist. I want to wash away our history and all that. But I don't think that we should try to wash away the history. We should acknowledge it and know that it happened, move forward. That's it.
Overall argument is that class, socioeconomics, is a better proxy for disadvantage. We all want to help the disadvantaged, and the question is, how do we identify them, right? The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use Black and Hispanic identity as a proxy for disadvantage. And my argument is that you actually get a better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income. That picks out people in a more accurate way. Right. So,
I like this guy. Who is this man?
When you say that socioeconomics picks out people in a better way than race, when you do look at the socioeconomics, you see the huge disparity between white households and Black households. You see the huge disparity between white households and Hispanic households. So your argument, and I've read your book twice because I wanted to give it a chance, your argument that race has no place in that equation is really fundamentally flawed, in my opinion.
No, that's not true, because the problem is that when we compare Black people and any people of color, we tend to compare them to people that have it, right? People are like middle class or above, but I'm not gonna say 90%, but 70% of the population is just regular folks like you and me. And those people struggle. They're on food stamp, all right? They live paycheck to paycheck. So when they go out and about, right? For my Caucasian people, my Caucasian fan, when you see stuff like this, you're like, okay, what about me, right? What about moi? Okay? Maison bagay. Maison bagay too. Are you gonna give them something too? But like you're like, nah. You don't get nothing because you're privileged because you were born white. That is flawed, right? So we need to kind of move away from that. That's why I kind of agree with what he's saying in terms of like, you look at socioeconomic problem, right? How much money do they make? Are they like living on the poverty line? What can we do to help these people flourish? That will not only benefit Black people, but also white people that are at the same level. In removing the race. Now, Black people and people of color, right? Other people of color will benefit at far more from this system than white, because we are disproportionately more affected by this stuff, right? But that would put everybody at the starting line, which why I advocate. Opportunity is available everywhere, people. Like, that's coming from a guy that came to this country with nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. And then I'm in a better place. We all can do the same thing.
Questions. One is whether each racial group is socioeconomically the same. That I agree with you. They're not.
They're not. And the stats show that.
Of course, I agree with that fully. The question is, how do you address that in the way that actually targets poverty the best?
Great.
And what Martin Luther King wrote in his book, Why We Can't Wait, is he called it, we need a Bill of Rights for the disadvantaged. And he said, yes, we should address racial inequality. Yes, we should address the legacy of slavery. But the way to do that is on the basis of class. And that will disproportionately target Blacks and Hispanics because they're disproportionately poor. But it will be doing so in a way that also helps the white poor, in a way that addresses poverty as the thing to be addressed.
That part is
exactly.
True.
In this way, you would not create a racial divide and resentment among the white people, the white native, Black native, and the other people of color that are also native.
But as you are a student of Dr. King, I'm not only a student of Dr. King, I know his daughter, Bernice. Right?
So what does that have to do with
I'm going to get to my question.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
I think the premise is fundamentally flawed. You claim that color blindness was the goal of the civil rights movement, based upon Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, content of character versus the color of skin. Bernice, Dr. King's daughter, points out that 4 years after giving that speech, actually, Dr. King also said this: a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for Negroes. He also said in 1968, it was about less than a week before he was assassinated, this country never stops to realize that they owe a people kept in slavery for 244 years. So rather than class, he did write about that earlier on. Right before his death, he made the argument for racial equality and racial reparations. And so your argument for color blindness, I think, is something that the right has co-opted. And so many in the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for a Republican.
And that's fundamentally my problem, right? I think it is so hard as a Black man, and I don't want to pull the race card. I think it is very hard as a Black man when you become an independent thinker and when you no longer allow yourself to be pulled into the blue side, what they call you Uncle Tom, charlatan. You hate yourself, you hate your race, and all that nonsense. That's what she's trying to do.
You said that you're a conservative.
No.
No, you did. You actually said that in the podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
Yes, you did. So, but my question to you,
the man just told you no.
Is, how do you respond to those critics?
Okay, let's give him an answer.
First thing I think it's very important. The quote that you just pointed out about doing something special for the Negro. That's from the book Why We Can't Wait that I just mentioned.
Yes.
A couple paragraphs later, he lays out exactly what that something special was.
Yes.
And it was the Bill of Rights for the Disadvantaged, a broad class-based policy.
But he also says you must include race.
No, he didn't. He says it's
yes, he does.
Okay, well, everyone should go read the book Why We Can't Wait. Let's not get sidetracked by that.
Apparently she read it 2 times.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here.
Giving a good counterpoint to what he said, you're trying to insult his intelligence. So the reason why you are voting like this is because you're a Republican. And even if it was, that does not invalidate his point.
Better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me with no evidence.
But I want to give you the opportunity to respond to the
I appreciate it.
But you
criticism.
didn't.
I appreciate it. There's no evidence that I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying.
You work for CNN and you wrote that book. My God, who is this man? Who is this man? This voice of reason. So please let me know what you guys think about this topic. There was the first time I watched the view clip that I did not lose a couple IQ points. However, guys, please let me know what you guys think about this discussion. I know it's been kind of tough to put out content. Your boy been so fucking tired to put out videos, man. I'm telling you. Especially with the YouTube censorship, man, it's been kind of tough. I don't want to bitch, so it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep putting out content. If you guys like it, let me know. If you guys have any idea of what type of content you would like, you will enjoy, and then we'll do it together. All right, this is a journey. Okay, I would love to be able to get like to 100,000. That is my goal. So please take the time. That goes a long way. Take the time to like the video, watch it all the way. Leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. And